Hello everyone, and welcome to the 176th episode of the Poorly Planned Podcast. My name is Benedict. You may know me better as BHL Hudson. Here we talk about movies, TV shows, a bunch of nonsense. With me as always is my friend, co-host, and mutually sick buddy, Frederick.
Yeah.
We're both a little under the weather. I don't mean it in the sense that we're both sick dudes, although that is also true. But we are...
We're just very, very ill dudes.
Yeah. We're on the brink of death.
Mind.
Yeah. I got a little throat thing, got a little nose thing. It is what it is.
You would.
I thought you would go there. You hound.
I knew you would do that, you son of a bitch.
But you know what will never stop us from potting? But that will not... I don't know. That was a weird way of phrasing.
Everyone got what you were trying to say there.
We're heroes.
Won't stop us from potting? That won't.
Yes. We triumph through disaster. We're modern day warriors, some could say.
Exactly.
Today.
Oh, yes, please.
Timecodes down below. I thought we would do some mini reviews. And then talk a little topic, because there wasn't really that much news this week. We just have one Michael B. Jordan piece of news, which is pretty cool. But I was thinking a little topic. Since Marvel Phase 4 has officially wrapped up with the start of Phase 5 with Ant-Man and the Wasp, Bill Murray Mania, I thought we would rank the MCU shows from Phase 4.
Ooh,
we did the movies.
Very, very topical.
Thank you. And I was thinking we'd do the Disney Plus shows. So that will be coming up later in the show. Kind of an anecdote-ish, but I just wanted to give a little shout-out to the Weekly Planet podcast, which I'll be honest... Ooh. Even though that was the biggest inspiration for this pod and everything, and I still love them, haven't been listening too much lately, just because, like, when you do your own movie podcast, you kind of, like, after you've talked about stuff, sometimes you don't really want to just, like, hear, someone else talk about it as well. But I've been getting back into it a little bit. They're still, they're still doing great. And I will say, I went on a bit of a night out, and I had one of the worst hangovers of my entire life. Like, I was like, this is how I die. This is it. And what genuinely, like, pacified me enough to ride it out was just throwing on an old episode of the Weekly Planet podcast from, like, 2014 or something, and just lying there in, like, a devastated state. And I just want to say the power of podcasts. Of course, don't drink, anyone, but if one day we can help someone like that who's going through a hungover morning, and our podcast, although I feel like our podcast is a little bit too chaotic, it's not, like, very relaxing. It's kind of, it's a little bit chaotic for a hangover.
Yeah, I mean, it might make someone feel more hungover.
Yeah. It might make them projectile vomit, but yeah, I just wanted to shout them out for the power of podcasting helping me through it. Anyway, shall we get into today's episode? I have a couple little mini reviews here. And I assume you have a couple, and...
I do have a couple.
Then we dive into some Marvel Phase 4 stuff. So first of all, the first half of You Season 4 came out. The first 5 episodes, and I have to say, I was a big fan of the You show. It's the one kind of, like, Netflix binge show that I really got on board with. Very... silly and dumb, but also weirdly charming and fun and enjoyable. So I was actually quite hyped.
I've never seen it, because from what I've seen, it looks like the few clips and trailers I've seen. It looks like it's supposed to be taking itself a little bit seriously, but does it not?
No, I mean, it is kind of like self-aware and comedic, at least before this season, I will say. Especially towards the start, it's a little bit more self-aware. It's kind of like ridiculous. Like, this guy is, he's a stalker, and you're supposed to, like, kind of find him a bit charming, but then also he's so awful, but then also he's, like, weirdly incompetent, and it's just, like, I don't know, it was a good mix of things. And the new season is legitimately awful. It's like, it's so bad. And even for a show that's, like, corny and goofy, and, like, it's not a great show or whatever, it's just, like, they've removed everything that made it fun. Like, now he's in England, and he's doing a whodunit mystery. And
it was like, someone, like, texts him or something?
Yeah, and
like,
he...
I know who you are.
He doesn't... Like, they're trying to make him so much more likable and, like, just, like, a normal protagonist. And the thing is, like, that is the whole, like, intrigue. And, like, even though it's, morbid fun, and maybe it's, like, as a society, should we be finding this fun? But, like, the whole fun of it is that he's murdering everyone, and he's stalking everyone. He's doing all this crazy shit, you know what I mean? He doesn't murder a single person. He saves everyone he comes across. He's, like, a good guy. He's like, a detective. He also... And like I guess I respect this, but the actor said he didn't want to do any sex scenes because he's like, I'm a married man, I can't be doing this stuff. But also, I mean, like, the show is kind of like an erotic thriller. Like, part of the show is that.
Suck it up.
Like, yeah, so obviously, you can't do something you're not comfortable with, but like, that is part of the character. Like, it is part of the show. It's just noticeably. Like,
isn't his whole thing that he's like completely like sexually deprived and he's just like a lustful beast?
I mean, in a way, yeah. But it's just like, the first season it was so tense, and like when the girl he's dating finds like this box of teeth that he's kept or some shit, it's all like terrifying. And now this one's just like there's no sex, there's no murder, there's no anything interesting. It's also just so like poorly written, and it's trying to do like the Glass Onion, the menu, like the rich people suck thing, which we've seen like a million times now in the past 2 years. And I don't know, man. I mean, I still watched it, and I'll still watch the rest of it because I'm like a loser, but big disappointment. It's just like, even for kind of trash, not even trash TV, even for something that was fun but not anything super highbrow, it's fallen off, I would say. So, but fair. I'll still watch it. Fair. Because I'm that guy.
Because I am Timothy. I will say, I know we usually stop talking about these, or like we've built a policy that we start talking about a show once we finished it, but I've now pretty much stopped watching this for a while, so I think I can safely say I can't help myself because I've watched about half of it, and I'll get back to it at some point in the future. But right now, I'm gonna lay it on you. Okay. I have watched the first 2 seasons and I want to say like 3 episodes of Prison Break.
Ooh, okay.
Michael Scofield action.
Of course. Were you not watching this a few years ago, or am I mistaken?
You would be mistaken.
Okay, never mind.
The first season, actually very, very good. Like, the first season so far is the only proper, like, Prison Break season, where, like, you get into the intricacies and like, a bunch of, like, characters that weren't accounted for, like, weren't part of the plan, get in on it and stuff like that. It's, like, it's very, like, it's a good portrayal of the prison system. I mean, I don't know. I assume.
It's an accurate prison documentary.
Having been incarcerated for many a year, it does a good job of like, kind of having the plan on one side and then the kind of like prison vibe on the other side. Very, very good. Then the next season, I mean, do you mind if I spoil a bit?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Spoiler, the prison break comes off.
Oh.
And then the next one is basically just them on the run the entire time. And it's not nearly as good. Still some fun characters. But my main problem with it is that it's 5 seasons. Each episode is 45 minutes long. And there's 22 episodes per season.
Yeah.
And like, how much can you, like, even in the first season that's really, really good, there's like half of it could have been cut out. It's just like so many like useless details, I think, that like, I mean, in the grand scheme, make it work, but it could have been told in like 13 episodes, and I think it would have been a lot more enjoyable.
Sure.
So it's just like bit of a, like, especially like the second season, whilst there's still some good moments, it was just a bit of a chore sitting through it.
How many prisons can you break, really?
Exactly. And now they're in a new prison. Like,
they got back in prison. They're the worst. So
the guy Michael Scofield, who made the whole escape, is now back in prison. Like, what's up with that, Michael?
I think it sounds a little bit like a kind of a problem I had with Westworld, where the first season, it's this really fun premise, and like, but it kind of lends itself just to the one season. Although Westworld, you could have done more. But like with Prison Break, once they break out of the prison, it's like, okay, they have to be on the run. They have to go back to another prison. It's kind of hard to not make it repetitive or move away from what made it fun. I mean,
there is like an overarching story that the reason he's basically breaking his brother out of prison because his brother was framed for the murder of the vice president's brother.
Great.
Yeah. And then there is I will say, there is a bit of a shocking twist. Turns out he's still alive and has been hiding because someone found out that the vice president and her brother had an incestuous relationship together.
Damn. That's interesting.
Hot take. Maybe not for me. But overall, a fun show, some good characters, but bit of a chore so far.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I've heard good things from people who've watched the first season, but yeah, I have heard it kind of, like most things, kind of The Walking Dead as well, kind of falls off a little bit. Mm-hmm. Well, let's see. I lumped these two together. Not that they have literally anything to do with each other, but just because I don't have too much to say about either. I watched The Shining, the original Stanley Kubrick movie. Just very, very good. Very spooky. I was talking to Yassine about it, and it was kind of embarrassing because he was like, yeah, I liked it. I just wish it was scarier. And I was like, are you kidding me? It was so spooky.
Are you kidding me? I was pissing myself.
Spooked out of my pants. But, yeah, no, I mean, just extremely well made and just very unsettling. More my kind of horror, like a little bit, there's jump scary stuff, but it's more psychological. And it's also very open-ended and has a lot of questions. I spent like 20 minutes after just kind of like looking at theories and stuff about what it all means. So, obviously, great film. And then very similar vibes, I watched Mathilda the Musical. Another horrific tale. I
Mathilda the Musical.
I kind of got screwed here, I'm not gonna lie, because I wanted to go see Cocaine Bear, right? And there was only one person who was available, and I was like, well, this person probably is not going to want to go see Cocaine Bear and probably really wants to see Mathilda the Musical. So I was like, all right, do you want to go see Mathilda? Because I want to go to the cinema anyway. And they're like, yeah, sure. And then later on the same day, I get a snap. And she's like, oh, yeah, my sister wanted to see Cocaine Bear. So we went and saw Cocaine Bear. I was like, we could have seen Cocaine Bear? So I should have just gone with my gut. But
we could have seen the greatest movie of all time?
It was also, because when we were at the cinema getting the tickets, there was this old lady, which I guess is kind of a baller move, to just go up to the ticket seller and be like, what's good? Like, what's a good movie? And the ticket seller was like, I heard Cocaine Bear is good. It was like little old lady.
Cocaine Bear was excellent.
But on the plus side, I am seeing it tonight, so that'll be good. But
you lucky bastard! I think I'll be watching it like tomorrow or Thursday, probably.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be.
I'll watch it before we pod.
Let's go.
Next time.
Yeah, next week I think we have Cocaine Bear and maybe a Creed 3 kind of thing, so that could be good. But
oh my goodness,
Mathilda the Musical. I mean, it's cute and charming, and I mean it's like a kids movie, but. They have a big song and dance a lot. It's a musical. The girl who plays Mathilda is quite good.
They do this thing that's called singing and dancing. I don't know why.
Emma Thompson is Miss Trunchbull, and she's pretty good.
She's what?
Miss Trunchbull. Have you seen? Are you familiar with Mathilda, the story?
No, I thought you said she is this Trunchbull. I was like, I've no clue what a Trunchbull
she plays Mrs. Trunchbull. She's like the big scary one.
So what's this about? This sounds.
You don't know the story of Mathilda?
Sounds like a horror movie. No,
the Roald Dahl story.
Heard. I mean, I've heard about it, but I never actually.
She's the super smart
exposed
girl
to the story.
Who goes to like a school where the headmaster is really mean, and then she's so smart that, spoiler alert, maybe she has telekinetic powers or whatever, and then she, then she saves the day and moves in with Miss Honey, who's all nice. It's a nice story. I don't know. It was cute, but it was for what it was, which is a cute little kids musical. It was it was solid, I guess. I did get a text message from a friend of mine afterwards based on my Letterboxd review that just said like, why are you watching trash? I don't know.
Why are you not watching Cocaine Bear with us?
Why are you not watching the Kino that is Cocaine Bear? But anyway, go ahead.
The Kino. I have lately. Wait, what a weird way to start that. Lately, I've been kind of thinking about the Disney and like well-known animated movies that I've missed out on, and so in honor of that, me and my girlfriend, we sat down and watched Coco for the first time.
For the first time. That seems like such a you movie to like.
Well, exactly. I thought it was so good. Like, genuinely just one of the most delightful Disney movies. Is it Pixar? Disney Pixar?
It is a Pixar, but yeah.
Yeah. One of the most delightful Pixar movies I've ever seen. It was so good. I think I gave it 4 or 4.5 on Letterboxd, and it was such a feel-good movie. Movie.
It's got some good music.
Remember
me.
You make me un poco loco, un poquititico loco, the way you drive me crazy. So I'm nodding and I'm yes.
And we've been sued by Pixar. And we both owe our lives.
I'm only un poco. Did you just forget the word feet?
Why was I supposed to, I don't know the songs from fucking Coco. Don't look at me like that's a song we both know the lyrics to. I know the one "Remember Me" because that's the one.
But that's not the most famous one.
Yeah, it is. He sang it at the Oscars.
Yeah, it is.
Anyway, it was a good movie.
Great movie.
Cute dog.
But yes, very good.
Fun movie. I saw it back in the cinema actually. Was a fun time. Was
a good moment for me. Some would say a core memory.
The last one I have here, we should talk about briefly, is last night. Jake Paul, Tommy Fury had a fight, and
they did have a fight,
and Jake Paul lost. And I was...
Oh, thank goodness.
I was so happy, I'm not going to lie. I was very overjoyed. It was a great moment. And the memes on Twitter were hilarious. And it was very good. It was a very fun couple of hours.
I think you'll very much enjoy the way I found out about this.
How did you find out?
So, again, I was out last night. And then, as one does, I went to the Chippy afterwards. Of course. I was getting myself a chicken tikka wrap or something.
Not a bad choice.
And as I'm standing there about to pay, I get swarmed is a dangerous word, but I get
mobbed.
I get surrounded by 3 elderly dudes, and when I said elderly, I mean in their late 40s. Elderly to be talking to me in a Chippy.
Sure. And
then they just go up to me, "All right, son, who do you think would win in a boxing match? A professional boxer or a YouTuber?" And I was like...
They thought they'd got you so good.
Yeah. I was like, ooh, and I turned around and they were not expecting me to have all this pent-up knowledge. I was like, no way did Jake Paul win. And then they're like, oh, you're a follower. I was like, not of him,
follower.
But I follow the events. And they're like, well, lad, he lost. And then we all celebrated at the Chippy.
Let's go. That's actually such a wholesome...
I was like, what the hell? How do you guys know about this?
I like how they would be surprised that you know. I guess if you should be the one, why the fuck do you know who Jake Paul is?
Yeah,
you're late 40s.
You are of the elderly.
Yeah, no, that's actually really wholesome. There was actually not very similar, but just a horrific moment where we were at this half club, half bar thing this week. And the fucking, I don't know, they have this weird thing where they have, the TV on, even though, after a certain time, it's kind of converted into a club, but they keep the TV on. And so you're just, you're on, a club dance floor, but then you look over, and there's just, a Jake Paul, Tommy Fury advertisement playing. And it was just so weird. And I very drunkenly grabbed my friend. I was like, oh my god, look, it's that fucking fight. And he was like, we were in the club, and you're talking to me about Jake Paul and Tommy Fury. And I was like, yeah, no, that's a good point, actually. But, no, he did lose, and it was great. I mean, he got just comfortably outboxed. It just isn't that good. It's sort of whatever.
Should it have been a split decision? Or
No, not at all. He lost I'd say, I don't know, 6-2. He won 2 rounds maybe. I don't know, but
okay.
It was just exactly what everyone said of it's what you'd expect. Once you fight someone who actually is younger and your same size and knows how to box, then you'll lose. And Tommy Fury is not a very good boxer. He's he'd get beat up by the top 50 of his weight division of actual boxers, and he beat up Jake Paul. So it's it was just a very satisfying conclusion of I see all these people saying oh, you gotta respect him, and he stepped in there. It's I don't gotta respect him. He's an asshole. Why would I respect him? He's just
I would respect if he was had a bit nervous or a bit more humble in his approach. But if he's I'm gonna fuck this guy up and then I'm gonna...
Yeah.
Wasn't there something if he beat Tommy Fury, he'd be I mean, this might be wrong. I just saw an article. It was if Jake Paul beats Tommy Fury, he ranks number 15 in something.
No, they were gonna rank the WBC, which is this piece of terrible. But they were gonna rank him because they want to give him a belt or something so they can make money off his fights. But it's it's all a bunch of bullshit, and it's just it's so you can't have it both ways where someone talks all this shit for 5 years and then when they lose and you're oh, you can't celebrate. You gotta respect.
But he tried.
Yeah, it's of course I celebrate. He's been such an annoying asshole for 5 years and then he finally gets he loses. It's great. It's great fun. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it was a good time. And also, I mean, I think I would still say Jake Paul would be a favorite But I think KSI could maybe do something. Maybe do something. Because, like, again, Tommy Fury's not that good. And he, like, comfortably beat him. So it's like...
Well, so...
Like, Jake Paul just isn't a very... Like, he's not very good. Like, obviously, he's better than every, you know, influencer. But he's still not very good. Like, he doesn't have good, you know, combinations. He has, like, very obvious, like, telegraphed attacks. Like, and if someone's, you know, young enough to take it and Tommy Fury got hit by, like, his best stuff. And he was fine. You know what I mean? So it's like...
But was there a knockdown on Tommy Fury? Was that just
there
like
was, but it was a little bit more of like a kind of... Like, he wasn't, like, hurt. It was more of kind of like a... Kind of tripped over himself.
It's kind of like... He tried to evade and then, like, got pushed a little bit.
Yeah. Like, technically,
like, I thought he was immediately up.
Yeah, but he wasn't affected. And he went on to win the rest of that round. Like, he beat him up. Like, it was a good time to watch Jake Paul just getting punched in the face. Because, like, he's... Like,
very good.
He's very unlikable. Like, and that's his whole point.
He's incredibly unlikable.
You can't do that whole shtick and then be like, oh, you have to respect how, like, you know, he's... It's like, no, fuck him. He's been, we've been watching him since, like, 2018 when he fucking fought Deji, you know what I mean?
Earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, anyway.
Have you seen the video? And this is... The caption of this was definitely the most enjoyable thing at the event, was when some, like... reporter or announcer was like talking to Logan Paul.
Yes.
Like Logan Paul gives like a pretty heartfelt message to Jake Paul. And he's like, "I love you, bro." The announcer's like,
"I love you too."
Love you too, man.
It's so embarrassing, bro. I mean, that guy is like a nice. Like, I've seen his other interviews. He's like a cool guy, but that was a rough one. Yeah, as if he was talking. Why would he say "I love you" in the middle of that? But
you must have been overjoyed. It's like, you do?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
There was also quite a good thing. I think I sent it to you on Instagram where someone tweeted. It was like a picture of and it said like it was a picture of Deji sitting behind Deontay Wilder, and it was like the hardest hitter in boxing history sitting behind Deontay Wilder. Which was pretty good.
The GOAT sitting behind Deontay.
But yeah, anyway, good fun. I enjoyed. It was just a cathartic experience after, you know, watching this stuff for the past 5 years. Yeah, I feel good in my heart. I slept
my
beautifully.
soul
full of bliss. But yeah, so that was that. Yeah, good stuff.
Very good. I mean, I don't think I have... Wait, let me quickly check my letterboxd here, but I don't think I have any more reviews to go through.
Segue nicely into today's topico.
I've been logged out of my letterboxd. Let's just go.
It is what it is. Well, with Marvel's Phase 4 wrapping up, and they had a number of Disney Plus shows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Can I just say, you look like some godly presence right now.
Yeah, I have had to position my computer away from my desk, so I'm just silhouetted against my like wall window thing, and I feel like it's
beautiful view.
Yeah, no, I mean it's honestly it's a great room. But we thought, you know, we talked about the Marvel Phase 4 movies, we ranked them, and since there's a lot of talk about Marvel lately anyway, thought we'd go through the Phase 4 shows, rank them as well. And now I have to say, I'll try to be a little more fair here, because I feel like...
I'll be a little forgiving. I won't give them the old BHL Hudson shakedown.
BHL Hudson shakedown. That should have been what I called that fucking podcast I tried to do. The BHL Hudson shakedown.
Oh, like the
movie hour thing.
BHL Hudson's movie hour.
Yeah, that would have been a...
How many episodes was that?
I believe 4. Anyway.
I think that should be revived, honestly.
I think... Because after, and we'll get to this with the comments, which I haven't looked at yet, but I feel like after we talked about Ant-Man and the Wasp, even though I stand by what I said, I feel like I went a little hard. I feel like I got a little fired up. And I was like, I don't know. And I feel like I've sort of resorted to, you know, like the way we talk is sort of how you know, it's just like how you talk with your friends, how you talk after you've seen a movie. But I feel like I've resorted to go into like...
You can be very boisterous and very like...
Yeah, you go like, that's all shit.
That was the worst thing I've ever
fucking
seen.
Stupid, yeah.
But in fact, it probably wasn't. But at the same time, it was not...
I mean, it was still very bad.
They were close to the best thing I've seen.
I still thought it was very bad, but I've even with some of the shows, like I was thinking about, like, well, as we'll get to, like Falcon and Winter Soldier, go like, that was the most boring shit I've ever seen. Like, it actually wasn't that bad. So anyway, we'll try to be more fair here, but let's dive into it. Starting off with the first ever Marvel Disney Plus show, WandaVision.
Was WandaVision before Falcon?
It was. It kicked it all off. in January 2021, I think, maybe. I will say, god damn, sorry, there's this fucking truck that keeps driving by. Get a life. Sorry. As I try to be less mean.
Sabotage the pod.
I think this is a highlight of the Disney Plus shows. I think this was a very good way to kick it off.
I would agree.
And I think that because it's, I would say, the most interesting one, and like the one that's trying the most, especially towards the start.
Yeah,
like it really embraced, what you can do with the TV thing with each episode changing genres, and the building of the mystery was actually quite compelling.
Yeah, the kind of like suspense and thrilling.
Yeah, you're like, what's that fucking beekeeper doing there?
I was just thinking that, like, it was
a good moment.
Why is he here?
Why
that was I would argue, maybe one of the best moments of the series. I was like,
right?
Oh, damn.
She's kind of...
This is messed up.
She's kind of scary. Like, you can tell she's done something wrong, and, like, she's kind of like, stop, and then, stop! And then the whole thing, like, rewinds or whatever. Stop! I would say, as with most things, the eventual reveal of the suspense building isn't as interesting as what you could, like, build up in your head. Because also, they can't do anything like that. Like, if they'd revealed...
You're sounding very schizophrenic right now.
If they'd revealed, like, she'd murdered everyone in the town or something, they couldn't really do that with, like, a Disney character Avenger thing, but...
I guess.
But also,
that would have made her transition to a villain in Doctor Strange more believable.
Would have made more sense. Yeah, I think everyone's really great in it. Like, I think that second episode, I just remember where they do this, like, 1950s thing where they do, like, a magic show. They're all really good at playing, like, Paul Bettany and her are, like, really good at being that, like, those kind of... TV actors from that time.
Exactly. I dare say the most delightful Bettany we've ever seen.
100%. He's doing all kinds of gags. He's being a bit goofy. Yeah. He's
being a little goofball.
He's making puns about being a robot, but not really being a robot, and it's all, ooh, I see what you did there.
It's great.
It's very good.
It's comedy gold, really.
And I do think I wouldn't say it falls apart completely, but it does become way less interesting.
But it just becomes a bit generic towards the end.
Yeah, it gets sort of marvelly, where it's like, here's your whole backstory presented, like, just in an episode where we just go through everything that happened, and then it gets very marvelly in that, like, and here's a big CGI spectacle, and I guess you have to do that, but also with how, like, original it started, could there have been a way to, like, also do a more original finale? Like, you could have been, like, fighting whatever Agatha through, like, different sitcoms, like, through different
exactly eras.
That
was like, yeah, like similar to like a multiverse kind of thing, where instead of traveling through multiverses, you're traveling through, like, the different sitcom era times and stuff like that. I think that could have been very fun.
You're changing, from one persona to another, and, like, I don't know, just anything more than, like, here's this kind of, especially because everything else up until that point looked very authentic. Like, they did a good job of making the shows look very real, and then it's like it made all, like, her costume, Agatha's costume, look very, like, kind of Halloween story, and
very Halloween story.
It's not terrible. It's not the worst ending. Like, I like Vision and other Vision having a bit of, like, a, like, hey, what if a boat was
I am Vision.
Yeah.
So is that Vision now just kind of roaming?
He's hanging out. He's just on a beach somewhere, getting his...
as scholars say, Bing Chiling.
We would be. Topical reference. They're actually making a Vision show, because of course they are.
Of course.
Because Vision is
honestly
the most...
something I would watch.
Really?
Just for the Bettany.
Yes. That's how they should advertise it.
Do you think I give a fuck about Vision? I like Bettany.
That's a very good point. Bettany is really nutty. I don't know. I think overall... it left, like, a bad taste in my mouth, I guess, because I didn't think it ended very well. But overall, which might be the case for actually a few of these, I think it was actually quite a good show, like, in hindsight.
I agree.
I think it was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, especially, I think, even if, like, it's, like, the originality and, like, fun idea of it makes up for the very kind of, like, shitty generic ending. So,
yeah.
Like, when I think about it, the overall kind of, like, takeaway I have of it is a fun sitcom Marvel show, not Vision flies away to meet another Vision and then flies off.
Yeah. We then had maybe the one that I was the most excited for, actually, and thus may have resulted in some disappointment, but in hindsight, also not that bad. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
The Falcon and the Snotty Boy.
And the Winter Soldier. Because, we loved their little cheeky dynamic. We
do love a little cheeky dynamic.
Mackie and Stan, they seem like such great dudes. Make daddy a sandwich, as Mackie's famous quote goes.
Also problematic, I would say, in this day and age.
I mean, yeah, it's not, yeah, it's one of those where like all the like alpha male accounts will post him and be like, Anthony Mackie's escaped the Matrix or whatever. But I think he was just trying to be like,
Mackie
funny.
knows what's up.
But I remember also, by the way, just random Sebastian Stan stories. I have many.
Of course.
My dad watched...
How you approach any girl at a party. By the way, do you want to hear one of my Sebastian Stan stories?
Yeah, never mind. But, you know where it's going to go.
I could tell where it was going.
Yeah. My dad watched I, Tonya, and I was like, oh, that has Sebastian Stan in it. And he just looked at me and he goes, wait, was he Jeff? I was like, yeah, yes, he was. He was like, oh, no way.
Papa Hudson is completely flabbergasted.
The legend of
Surely
Jeff.
not Jeff.
But what did you think of Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan bicker and then team up?
I honestly don't remember too much of it. I like the dynamic.
Yeah.
I thought the story was, again, a little bit generic. I actually really liked the addition of the new Captain America guy.
Yes.
I forget his name.
Sharon.
Steve Harvey.
It's Russell. Isn't his name Russell something? Colonel Russell something?
Russell Crowe. That's the one.
Right. Okay. Great. I can't tell.
No, is Colonel Russell not like the guy who turns into like Red Hulk or something?
No, that's General Ross.
Okay. Well, you see the confusion.
A little bit. But yes, I did think he was very good. Actually, the actor is the son of God, come on, Kurt Russell. That's what I'm thinking of. Russell.
Very good. Well, anyway. I very much enjoyed him. I thought he was very good.
Yeah.
Also, very, very weird thing that might be completely wrong, but I'm picturing his face right now.
Yeah.
And for some reason, his face seems very similar to MODOK's face. Is that just me?
I think he has, in that the way they squish it into that helmet, he has a bit of a square face. I remember there were
he does have a very square face.
There were people who were comparing him to Carl from Up at the time, which was,
that's so mean,
slightly mean. But he just compared him to what we described last week as an unacceptably ugly character. So I don't know who's worse here. Like criminally awful, but I guess I kind of see it.
Awful.
I think he's a handsome man.
I think he's a handsome man. I'm just saying, like,
MODOK,
some of the features just kind of like remind me of MODOK.
I suppose. But I did think he was very good, and I think it's a show that has like a lot of cool ideas in it, and is kind of bogged down by like a generic through line, like the whole I think they're called the Flag Smashers. Like, then they're like terrorists who aren't really terrorists, but then they also blow up a bunch of people. It's like, seems like a terrorist to me. But
seems like something a terrorist would do. I don't know.
If I'm just being real here. But I think, like, yeah, if they kept it more to like the new Captain America storyline, which provides like some fun moments with, Sebastian Stan's not having it, and also he's an interesting character. He's kind of fucked up in the head a little bit. And then also, like, I don't know, their dynamic. And maybe they go after, Batroc the Leaper from the first episode, played by a UFC fighter.
Yes.
They do something like that, or they and it kind of felt like everyone was like, oh, these guys are so funny in the movies together, and then they put them in the show, and they're like, okay, how do we kind of like some of the banter felt like a little bit forced, like how do we keep them being funny?
I think part of the thing is it was very charming because it happened, and like you see these characters doing their own thing, and then when they kind of converge, it's charming to have a few like lines back and forth, a few quips, and that's it. But then putting it into like a 8 episode, is it 8 or 10 episodes?
I think it was 6 episodes.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah, damn.
6 might work then. No, but like into a whole show where they're basically forced to banter is like.
Yeah, and they just have to like fix.
I do enjoy the very implied sexual intercourse between Sebastian Stan and Mackie's sister at the end.
That's good, yeah. Sebastian Stan being his new stepbro. Or brother-in-law.
Exactly.
However that works. But yeah.
Mackie about to make Sebastian Stan a sandwich.
Hey, yo.
AKA his new daddy.
I think I also think like the whole Mackie becoming the new Captain America, they could have focused more on. I think honestly, you just cut that Flag Smasher shit, and it's a much more like interesting, less because all the stuff that I think about where I'm like, that wasn't that interesting. It's all that shit. Like everything else, Zemo comes back. He's pretty fun. He has like a fun.
Zemo is
dance.
quite fun. They just put him back in jail, or does he escape? I forget.
I don't know, but he's gonna be in another movie, which actually, I wouldn't mind seeing that. There's some solid action, and the Wakandans show up, and that's kind of interesting. Honestly, yeah. It was a pretty fun show. It was just like, it was a little bit, again, sort of like stuff that maybe they feel like they have to put in, kind of like overstuffed it, and it leaves you feeling kind of like, eh. Like I remember at the time watching every episode, I was like, yeah, that was okay. And then at the end I was like, I don't really remember much because it's kind of bogged down this stuff. But it does, I like the new Captain America suit at the end. Like it's not a bad show. It's just sort of like, yeah, I think there were some decisions, if they'd cut some stuff, it would have been better. But I like, what do you think of the Captain America suit at the end, by the way?
Can't say I remember that. Is that the one that's primarily white?
Yeah. It's the...
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was a good one. I mean, good suit. I will say, this might be a weird thing to say, but I think I like the fact that this show felt, as it should, kind of like lower scale. Like, it's not as big as a... I mean, I think WandaVision towards the end felt like, oh yeah, it's a lot of stuff happening. Whereas this one, like a lot of stuff was happening, but it did feel kind of more insignificant in the grand scheme of like the Marvel universe, right? Which I think is good for a show.
Yeah,
it's not trying to do too much.
No, I agree. Just Mackie trying to stop some people who definitely weren't terrorists from blowing up buildings with people in them.
Yeah, exactly. We're not terrorists. We just killed a bunch of children. No big deal.
Get over it, Mackie. And Mackie's like, you're right.
Mackie, come on.
At the end where Mackie's like, you gotta stop calling them terrorists. And then someone made an edit where like it cuts them like blowing up a van full of people or something. It's like, yeah. But anyway, enough political talk. We then have Loki, which is another one that I feel like was ruined for me by a terrible ending, which I'll stand by till the day I die. But the rest of it, kind of fun.
I'm going to say probably my favorite.
Pretty fun.
Of the Marvel shows.
Like, again...
Very fun, actually.
I think my... Before we get into good stuff, because my nature is to complain now, I guess. I think it is bogged down a little bit by, like, it's sort of this technical, like, TVA stuff. And, if we go in this timeline, it'll do this. And there's, like, a little bit of too many of those conversations where I'm like, okay, just get to, like, the stuff. But when it does get to the stuff... Loki and Owen Wilson, really fun buddy team up.
A great back and forth. Very wholesome towards the end as well.
Yeah, cute. And Sylvie's, pretty solid character. I'd have to say I didn't love their, like, chemistry or their romance.
Sylvie.
She was the female Loki.
Is that the female Loki, yeah.
And it was kind of weird when he fucks himself or whatever.
I don't know.
It's kind
you
of
may find that weird. I find that
let me pose you a question.
Okay.
If a woman... 6'5",
yes,
bright ginger hair, name
she sounds beautiful.
Frederica. She walks in and she loves frisbee and volleyball and a bunch of nonsense. Are you slapping a ring on it? I was gonna say laying the pipe, but I felt like I'd be more discreet.
Well, two questions.
Would you fuck yourself as a woman? Is my question.
Questions.
Okay.
Do I have some junk in my trunk?
Yeah, actually, that's a good question.
What is my bosom like?
What is my bosom? You have an average bosom and an average behind.
Would I be described as a pog?
In your current state right now, yes. I don't know about the female one, but
okay. Well, then absolutely.
Would I be described as a pog? Yeah, I don't know. Something I've pondered. Whether you're a pog or not.
Okay, well, you.
I don't think so.
A woman comes. 4'2".
You motherfucker. You had that one line. As soon as I said 6'5", you're like, I'm gonna get this motherfucker.
this guy's going down.
I don't think so. I think
okay, I don't think so either.
Yeah, I try to run away from it now that I'm the normal one. You're like,
no, fine. You know what? I fucking would. I'd be a fucking Olympic specimen as a woman.
Yeah. This conversation's derailed a little bit. I think, I like the setting as well, like the TVA. They could do more with it, but it's sort of like a fun, goofy world. yeah, I think it's really fun to start when like you're getting introduced to all these concepts and characters. Then as it goes, it gets a little bit like kind of bogged down in itself. But quite a fun show, actually. In hindsight, terrible ending. Hate the ending. Burn it with fire.
Okay, let's talk about the ending.
We've already talked about so much.
Really,
it's just so shit.
Okay, so Kang, right?
Yeah.
You are not a fan.
No,
I get it. I wasn't either. But if you take away from the performance,
no,
and like that whole like monologue.
Well, the monologue is the whole.
What do you
episode.
think of the ending?
That's the problem. The whole episode is just fucking
monologue. More of what actually happens instead of like. So think about the consequences. Kang dies. Was Sylvie? Is that her name?
Sylvie. Yeah.
Sylvie kills him. Timelines are disrupted. Owen Wilson forgets who Loki is. Honestly, kind of heartbreaking to me.
But it's not that interesting of an. It's another classic. Like it's like Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, where like, and maybe something will happen next time, something interesting, and it's like.
But this one is the one that sets up all the different things.
Yeah, but who cares? What have we seen that's been interesting from here of that?
Well, yeah, but that's the rest of the like product's fault.
But I feel
Loki
like
pulled his weight.
Loki did not pull his weight. At least not in that finale. I disagree. Hard. Maybe I gotta rewatch it, but I also never will.
Maybe I really need to rewatch it, but I shan't.
I'd rather think about if I would have intercourse with a female version of myself. The answer is yes.
I think about that often.
I do too, honestly. I've made fan art of it.
I think I would have sex with a female version of you.
That caught me really off guard for some reason. Even though it was the obvious next thing to say. Well, speaking of alternate versions of oneself, by the way, interesting thing. I just want to bring this up real quick. I watched a video that was about like how blockbuster Hollywood movies have become like totally sexless lately, and I hadn't thought of it. But if you think about it, like
I agree.
When was the
bring back coitus?
Genuinely, like it's like they're like, yeah, Top Gun Maverick, like they kept it so sanitized, and all the Marvel movies have no, like there is definitely and like all the Star Wars movies, there's nothing. It's actually weird. It makes it feel like kind of weirdly robotic, and like I
would not want to see a sex scene in a Star Wars or Marvel
just
movie.
Chewbacca.
That's not what I go there for.
Ham.
Sitting there watching Ant-Man. Why the fuck is Paul Rudd not using his Paul Rudd?
But honestly, okay, we don't need to see.
And
like,
I would argue
a literal
that Bill Murray brings us deep sexual tension to
Bill Murray brought sex back to Hollywood in this one movie. But I think
Bill Murray saved sex.
I think like that would have actually. We don't need to have like a sex scene explicitly, but like any kind of romance. What fucking romance does Paul Rudd and Evangeline Lilly have in that movie? Like they're like just like two cousins. You know what I mean? Like it's not. You don't get a sense that they're like romantic at all. Anyway, we move on. Speaking of sexless shows, to What If. I actually quite enjoyed What If. Yeah, it's nothing too special, but it, for what it is, like for the concept, it does it quite well. It's like a fun little. Some episodes are kind of hit or miss. There's one about Thor being a party boy that's very uninteresting, and
I've only seen like 2 or 3 episodes. I did not enjoy it that much.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think at the end it also gets real weird because it introduces like the Watcher as a primary character, and it's sort of like kind of ruins the whole premise of the thing. I was a little bit like, because now how are you going to do more of these if the Watcher's just going to like step in and do some shit? But I don't know. There was a Doctor Strange episode that was actually really good, and it was solid. For what it was, I think it was a good show.
I like Thanos being the good guy as well. Find that kind of fun.
Yeah, no, but that's only kind of like a very brief moment. I mean, yeah, there are little details that are quite fun. And overall episodes, I say they were like 50-50. Some were good, some were like whatever.
Yeah.
We move on to Hawkeye, a show that I think has been the victim of the over-exaggerated, oh my god, it's so fucking shit kind of mentality, when really I just think it's pretty mid.
Very mid. But so mid to the fact that it's just...
I mean...
I like Haley Steinfeld, but I like her in most things. I think she brings a lot of charm.
She's very likable.
Renner, I mean, again, pretty good. I enjoy a good Ren.
I like Renner's
and everything.
I'm sick of everyone's shit energy, but it's almost a little too much. Like it's like 6 episodes of him just sighing.
Yeah, exactly. And then he falls into a Christmas tree.
He does. Lalo Salamanca's in it. I don't know if you've gotten to him in Better Call Saul, but he's very He's an amazing
I
actor.
have not yet, but I want to.
He's pretty okay in it, I guess. They don't do much with him.
He turns out to be a hero, was it?
He does. That's the big twist. He's kind of a red herring. I mean, yeah, it's just, that's the thing that I was watching. I was just like, it's so aggressively okay that I was like, I can't hate on anything. Like, it's like nothing's terrible. And I'm just like, I'm so, like, I'm feeling literally nothing watching it. That's the thing. Like, all the banter feels like very, just like, I don't want to say like AI generated show, but like, it just has the vibe like.
That's a very good way of putting
everything's
it,
just
actually.
totally fine and like competent. And yeah.
The only time I felt anger was when they absolutely just shat all over the legacy of Wilson Fisk.
They did.
Bring him back as a
Florida pimp, maybe?
I don't know what he's trying to be. Like, a guy who, like, vomits in casinos.
And then they shoot him in the face. But he's alive because he'll be back in, Daredevil or whatever. I really don't like Echo as a character just because, like, I don't
remember anything about
But
Echo.
that's the thing. It was just, like, it felt so much because they'd already announced they were making a show of her. And then it was just like, they were just trying so hard to be like, isn't she cool? Isn't she interesting? It's like, not really. Like, that's the thing. If you the way, I know this isn't how movies and TV work, but like the way it should be is you make a movie, and then if everyone loves it and there's more to tell, then you're like, you know what, we'll make a sequel. Or you're like, you know what, everyone loved that character, maybe we make a spin-off. But to say like
you don't make a spin-off show of a secondary character of the Hawkeye show.
You announced
before you've even received the news of how good people, like, what people thought of it.
Exactly. You announce the spin-off first, and then you throw in, and you're like, look, you love her. She's interesting. That's like, not really. Like,
it's cinematic suicide.
There you go. But anyway, Hawkeye, totally fine. It has some fun moments, and what's her name? Natasha's friend is okay. She's kind of fun. I like Florence Pugh.
Oh, what's Florence?
Yelena, maybe. But yeah,
Yeah.
Mid. Very mid. We move on to Moon Knight, which I think is probably the best, like...
you know what? Yeah.
I was going to say, like, the best, like, typical superhero thing. Like, it's sort of like... It's not as mid as Hawkeye, and it's not, like, super original. Like, it's still, very kind of, like, superhero showy, and there's some weird stuff in there. But in general, it has, like, a fun premise, a really likable lead, and, like, a little bit like Loki. I feel like it falls apart towards the end. They go to this afterlife whenever, and I'm like, this is not as interesting as everything else that was happening. But
yeah, the afterlife bit is a little bit, as you say, mid. But the whole thing of, like, the switching personalities and stuff like that, very cool.
Yeah, the way they did it, there's a reason it became kind of like a meme and so iconic, because it was a really cool idea, the way they did it with the music as well. And Oscar Isaac is amazing. He plays the two different parts really, really well. I'd love to see him in more stuff. I thought the suit looked really cool. Some people complained about the CGI. I thought it looked really good. I don't know. I like the suit.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
And like Egyptian mythology and stuff. It was a cool way of doing it. I think that's if they did every show was of the quality of Moon Knight, I think we'd be like, you know what, these are pretty good. Like because you're not really
these I'm on board for.
Yeah, you're not really expecting Marvel shows to be like, Game of Thrones or something insane every time, because like, they're making so many, and they can't really go for that. If they made everything that was like this, where it's like that's a good show. I watched it, like that was solid, that was fun, good characters.
That was solid.
Ethan Hawke walked with some glass
I would
in
say
his
there
shoes.
is a lot of originality in it.
Yeah, there is.
Like, a lot of stuff we haven't seen before, and yeah, like as you said, this very, very likable main character.
Yeah. So Moon Knight, thumbs up.
Big thumbs up. I like. Is it Vishnu, the god that he's got the pact with?
Maybe. Oh yeah, big creepy bird thing.
Yeah,
I'm
I
on
like
board
the
with
big
that.
creepy bird.
I think with a lot of these,
the idiot's back.
when they get into like the nitty gritty of like the mythology and the backgrounds, like, and here are all the gods, and the gods had a meeting, and the gods did this, and they banished him for this. It's like, I don't care. It's not as interesting as like there's a big creepy fucking bird skeleton stalking him. You know what I mean? Like that's much more interesting.
Exactly.
So I don't know. Maybe they can learn from that. Learn from what B.H.L. Hudson thinks.
As the world should.
We have Ms. Marvel, which I watched 2 episodes of, and it was Hawkeyeing me really bad. It's totally fine. Kind of fun.
I've not seen anything.
Couldn't get into it. I was just like, I have better things to do with my time, which is saying a lot because I'm B.H.L. Hudson. When do I ever have better things to do with my time? But I was like, damn, I really could be doing other things right now. I could be watching the What If show.
Oh yeah. So I rewatched the What If show 20 times.
No, but I mean, I think she's very good. Whoever they got from Ms. Marvel, I think she's very likable, and I think she makes a good addition to the MCU. She's that typical kind of charismatic star that thrives, and it's like a kind of fun story, but it was also just like I don't really care.
This is not for me.
I Am Groot was a show made, I believe for small children. So I watched the first one and I was like, oh, okay, I get it. It's like,
so I watched all of it.
I was like, okay, it's like, kind of little sketches of Groot being cute or whatever.
Yeah.
It's whatever. And then finally, She-Hulk twerks into the heart of America, the show. Did you watch She-Hulk? I don't even remember.
I watched like 3 or 4 episodes, and honestly, yeah, like I think it had the kind of like almost reverse of what you had for Captain America and Winter Soldier, or Falcon and Winter Soldier, where you were so excited and it ended up kind of disappointing you. I was so like,
it's gonna be so trash,
aghast at the fact that I was even watching it. I was like, this is gonna be so bad, and it turned out to be not good, but not bad.
Weirdly, it's one of the ones that I have the most fondness for, even though it's like objectively some parts of it are like really poorly done and like such corny writing and such bad effects, but it has like a weird charm to it. It really does. Like
it does, especially with Daredevil.
With the Daredevil episode is fantastic. That might be the best Disney Plus episode of anything. Not just because we love that character, but also just a fun episode. But like she's very likable, and it's sort of like the way. I mean, sometimes it's so goofy and dumb that you're like, "What the fuck am I watching?" But sometimes it's like, "Oh, this is actually kind of charming and sort of like different a little bit at least." And there was a weird thing where like I wanted to keep watching. That's the best thing I can say. Some of these shows, like Ms. Marvel, for example, I was like, I don't care. Yeah. I'm just gonna stop watching it. This one, I was like, I actually want to see what they do next because it's just like such a weird thing, and also to see what people will get unreasonably angry about next, which is always fun. Which is also, again, Rich coming from me, who ranted about Michael Douglas loving ants last week for 30 minutes. But.
Well, I'll also say this show does bring back sex to Hollywood.
It does.
In that
we did it.
She-Hulk and Daredevil. It did.
Charlie Cox.
In that She-Hulk and Daredevil. Yeah, Charlie Cox it up.
Ooh. Charlie.
And he does the walk of shame, which is one of the most delightful shots I've ever seen.
Very, very, very lovely. Just barefooted Charlie Cox.
Barefooted, just smiling and walking down the street.
Nuttily knowing what he did. No, it's, weird charm. Can't explain it, but I actually quite enjoyed it. And Charlie Cox coming back was great fun. I feel like there was another cameo in there that was, I mean, Mark Ruffalo's, he's fine, whatever. We find out that Steve Rogers is not a virgin. Big dub. Bringing sex back to Hollywood.
Who did he have sex with?
It was some girl in like the 1940s.
Okay.
It's implied it might be possibly Peter Quill's grandmother. So maybe Peter Quill should hashtag make daddy a sandwich, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that, but it is.
That's weird.
What it is. You seem genuinely unhappy about. You're like, oh, that's unfortunate. So he really didn't lose his virginity to Peggy, which is.
What do you say?
He didn't lose his virginity to Peggy, which is kind of sad.
Yeah, but also, I mean, also. That would be with, like, old Peggy if you did.
Well, no, but I'm saying he could have done it in, like, the 40s or whatever, right? I guess they didn't have much time.
Okay. No. It's really a shame that he didn't lose it to Peggy as she was on her deathbed.
Jesus. I really thought you were going to go in the direction of making some joke about the name Peggy and losing your virginity.
Oh, but, also very good.
Save it for another time.
But I will.
Keep that one in the bank. But, yeah, weirdly charming. So, let's rank these shows. Worst to best, and I'm gonna take out I Am Groot because who cares?
You go first, and then I will think of my rating.
All right, and I will include Ms. Marvel even though I only saw 2 episodes. I'm gonna go Hawkeye worst, then Falcon and Winter Soldier. No. Hawkeye, then Ms. Marvel, then Falcon and Winter Soldier. Then What If, then She-Hulk, then Loki, then Moon Knight, then WandaVision, I think.
Okay.
Maybe Ms. Marvel.
I'm going to hit you with a... I'm going to start with Ms. Marvel because I haven't seen any of it.
Sure.
Then I'm gonna go What If, because I also have not seen that much of it, and I didn't love it.
Sure.
Then, of the shows I've actually seen, we're gonna go Hawkeye. Then She-Hulk.
Ooh.
Then Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Okay.
If I'm missing one, then let me know at the end. Then we're gonna go WandaVision.
Yep.
Then Loki. Then Moon Knight. Although the top two could interchange.
I think you got them all. And yeah, that's a fair,
There you go.
assessment.
That's the ranking.
Let's see. No, I mean, okay, great. Now it's time for
The Dumb News.
So we have we have a kind of a funny Cnews, and then we have kind of a more real Cnews. Why don't we do both?
Ooh.
First, Tom Cruise shares his emotional and tearful moment from thenews.com.pk when he reunited.
That is very funny.
This is the hilarious one. No. Tom Cruise has revealed that he could not control his emotions when he reunited with actor Val Kilmer for Top Gun Maverick. I just want to say that was pretty emotional. I've known Val for decades. For him to come back and play that character, he's such a powerful actor that he instantly became that character again. And you're looking at Iceman. I was crying. I got emotional. He's such a brilliant actor, and I love his work. Quite sweet. Also,
that is very sweet.
I don't think
Too bad you hate Iceman's role.
I'm so sorry.
Movie.
I'm still so sorry about that. I regret that to the day I die. Okay, that was my bad. I also have to say, sorry, this picture of Cruise. I was gonna say I don't think I've ever seen Cruise express like a real human emotion. So to see him like actually getting teared up would be interesting.
That would be like even when he like showed a bit of fear in The Mummy when he's like screaming in the plane was weird.
Yeah, it was. I've only seen him express.
So seeing him like properly tearing up. Actually, you know what?
Violent
Young
anger.
Cruise, I see it. Like the more modern Cruise, I can't really see it. Young Cruise, I can see it.
Yeah,
there's, like,
that's true.
The whole Rain Man thing.
Back when he kind of had like more of a soul. And then we have from digitalspy.com. Tom Cruise describes the disguise he uses to watch his own releases in cinemas with, first of all, the scariest photo of Cruise. No offense. I mean, he's a beautiful man.
Let's see.
But it's a strange one. And it's just accompanied by the quote, sometimes they spot me. And it's just... it's just that face.
Why does he look like he ought to be a chef in the menu in that picture?
He does. I mean, the Cruise hair, it's always so magnificent, but this is not it, Cruise.
He's looking a bit scarecrowy.
Anyway, it's so mean. Let's see. I'll do some photos and sign some autographs. Okay, what's the disguise so we can look out for it?
Well, that was a bit stupid if he's revealing his disguise, isn't it?
He wears a baseball cap. Really? Tom. What are you, the guy from You?
Ooh. Topical reference.
Thank you.
I don't know, I assume.
So when I make a film, I want to go see it with an audience. Can I just say? I mean, I'm sure we touched on this, but imagine you're in the cinema watching a Tom Cruise movie. Like, imagine if it's you and I watching The Mummy, and we're like laughing, we're like, this movie fucking sucks, and then we turn around and it's Tom Cruise in a baseball cap.
God. Imagine he's just sitting like in the seat right next to us. He's got like aviators on, baseball cap. We're laughing. He slowly just turns.
He slowly pulls out a baseball bat from his ass.
Raptor noises erupt from the cinema.
Everyone else turns around too. He's bought out the entire place with goons. We're fucked. I'm just saying. Because, I mean, I know he generally is in good movies, but
we are fucked.
But what if he's like in a really bad one and the whole audience just thinks it's super stinky and he has like a Brad Pitt in Babylon moment where he like watches an audience laugh at him? No, not the other Brad Pitt in Babylon moment. I know that's what you were thinking. Or not something that would happen.
Literally not what I was thinking.
I don't know. Anyway, good for Cruise, I guess. Oh boy. Well, now it's time for the announcements and such. I have to say, I'm kind of nervous about these comments because after we finished that episode, I was a little bit like, I think we went maybe went a little harsh on this one. And I feel like a lot of the comments were like, yeah, you guys are a bit mean.
Let's see. You guys kind of need to tone it down a bit.
Because we had, let's see. We have 21 comments. All right, let's do this.
21 comments.
Shelf Enthusiast says, No joke, I was so delirious by the time Quantumania was over that I actually thought I fell asleep during the movie and everything I remembered about it was a dream. I only found out later via friends who also saw it that I wasn't dreaming and the movie really was that big of a clusterfuck. Okay.
Okay.
We're on board.
Nice.
Josie says, I will admit I thought Quantumania was okay, but I'm so nervous about the rest of the MCU, especially Kang Dynasty. And also says, when MODOK revealed his face, I normally don't talk in movies, but I audibly shouted, what the fuck? Probably the worst CGI in a movie I've ever seen. Seeing his ass made me cringe out of existence, says ZJ. Yeah, so... Okay, so we're on board. We take constructive criticism, though, or like if people have disagreements, we'll take it. Because so far, we're going okay. Alpha says, one thing you failed to mention in the previous pod about DreamWorks films is that Ants, with a Z, Stallone voices a buff ant, and then in Road to El Dorado, it also stars Kenneth Branagh, a.k.a. Hercule Poirot, as the voice of the deranged, crazy blonde one that looks like Freddy. That's a good point.
I don't like this. I don't like this.
You are him. Josie.
I am Hercule Poirot.
You're not the only one who had that brain fart, BHL. I thought you were talking about Spirited and not the horse movie, too. Let's go. I'm not dumb.
Nice.
ZJ says, great way to start my week-long break. Also, fuck Denmark and your standards of living. Your high standards of living. I believe ZJ is our half Swedish listener, so.
Where's this? CJ.
Yeah, ZJ. No, ZJ. And ZJ said this episode was extremely funny and had me dying. Thank you, ZJ. To which NMS says, sorry to hear, podcasts should not be killing people. Peacemaker, not a joke. And Daniel says, ZJ, what a joke. Josie says, these are getting out of hand. Too many people are dying from these pods. Guys, so nice, but also...
Guys, come on.
You're too kind.
Please.
You treat us too well. Yeah, actually, okay, I thought these comments were going to be brutal. I feel like they've just been very nice. Cal W says, slight spoilers for Ant-Man 3. The shot of MODOK's ass in the movie is where cinema peaked. Movie was meh, but the ass shot was amazing. I agree. Really hot, honestly.
Honestly, super erotic.
Daniel says, another really great and enjoyable episode. Keep up the Hank Pym-esque work. Mean comment. I really well
very rude.
I really well thought out your guys' review of Ant-Man 3 was one of your best reviews I've ever done on the pod. Never mind, we should be meaner, I guess.
We should, yeah. We went in depth in fairness.
No, we did. It is sad how the MCU went from some pretty films that I was really looking forward to now just pretty mid and quite boring films. Here's hoping Guardians 3 is another Wakanda Forever, and not another Black Widow or Love and Thunder. And my interest in the MCU has gone down quite a bit over the past year. There are some good things, but overall the MCU has become quite mid, I'm afraid. Dink for hiccup, hashtag Darren is a dick. And the film...
hashtag dick for hiccup.
The Flash film looks pretty. Here's hoping it's actually good. I know, just a pretty mid nostalgia trip. Michael Cockless. So goodness. Daniel always coming through nice. With the wisdom there, but thank you, Daniel.
Thank you, Daniel.
NMS says, I think it's seriously worrying about the quality of Ant-Man 3 has made Ant-Man look like some achievement in cinema. The OG movie was good and at least didn't look like a giant slog of horrible green screen. I think whatever touch Edgar Wright left on Ant-Man really made a small impact. Feige should be ashamed that this plays at the same time as Avatar 2. That's a good point, actually. Edgar Wright probably had like a tiny bit of input or a tiny bit of stuff from the first Ant-Man. That's maybe why it was less mid. Jaden Lewis says, I like how they say there's a plot. Big, I believe, dig at Ant-Man. Good stuff.
Yeah.
And finally, the Outlook, a.k.a. your boy Lele, says, a few thoughts on Quantumania.
A few thoughts on
Quantumania. You know it's not a good Ant-Man movie when Michael Peña's not in it? That's a good point. I heard someone mention that, like,
true. He's by far the most enjoyable.
If they brought him to the quantum realm, that would have been a good time. He could be just goofing around. Peter Dinklage would have made a phenomenal MODOK. Hashtag Dink for MODOK. I found it annoying how the entire Pym family clowns on Scott Lang for being happy about the fact he saved the world. He went from a burglar to an Avenger, cut him some slack. Agreed. They were unnecessarily dickish. World building the quantum realm felt extremely strange. We went from 3D geometry in the first Ant-Man to tardigrades?
Tardigrades.
In Ant-Man the Wasp. Or Lele coming through with the knowledge.
With the lingo.
In this movie, we have full-on civilizations whose members bear little to no resemblance to each other. Telepath, lamppost, human, jello blob. Quite indifferent to the James Cameron Avatar, but the quantum realm lacks the biological consistency that made Avatar work. Very good point. Better said than I could have put it. Although
we can.
Although the first Ant-Man movie has its flaws, I love it that as a heist film, it makes full use of Scott Lang's skills, and it feels like Lang genuinely matters as a character. The less said about Quantumania, the better. Yeah, and also that people pointed out, like, they don't really use the shrinking and growing stuff anymore, which is the whole point of Ant-Man as a character.
Yeah, the whole thing of Ant-Man. Like, I guess he's quantum, so.
Yeah, but it's also like, fuck off.
That's whatever.
The less said about Quantumania, the better, but the real question is, was the post-credit scene racist? Which was a reference to, Lele sent me an article saying that the post-credit scene was racist because it had...
The one with Loki or the one with all the Kangs?
With all the Kangs, because they were... And this is according to that article, which I thought was very stupid. They were all, like, shouting like monkeys or something, making, like, monkey noises, and they were like... how racist of this film. And I would just like to say, I think that's on the person who wrote the article for thinking of that.
That's just interpreting that weirdly.
That's a you thing. I think you have some explaining to do.
Yeah, I think that is fully on you,
That's definitely you.
What's happening here?
That's messed up. So
the only one in the world who thought that.
Who then wrote an article about it. So yeah, no, I think that's very stupid. And weird article choice. Anyway, thank you, Lele. We now go to the fan page. Let's see if there's been anything this week. Poorly planned podcast memes. There's not, but that's okay. You're off the hook, Kian. Links down below to those fan pages, by the way. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, drop a like, subscribe, hit the bell button, leave a comment down below what you thought of this episode, how you would rank the Disney Marvel Phase 4 shows, and all that good stuff. You can drop a like, subscribe, hit the bell button. Did I already say that? You can also find us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. The Poorly Planned Podcast. Leave a 5-star rating and nice review. Tell your friends about the pod. We're also on YouTube, of course. You can find me on YouTube, BHL Hudson, Instagram, Twitter, BHL_Hudson. You can email the pod at bhlhudson@gmail.com. I'm also on TikTok at BHL Hudson and Letterboxd at RealBHL
You can find me on Twitter at FDK_DaltSniper. You can find me on Instagram at Fidelgard. You can find me on Letterboxd at FDK_Thwilms and on YouTube at FDK Space Gaming.
Thank you very much for listening, and we will see you next time.
Would you have sex with yourself?
Yes.
100%.